are deep feelings that could come from extraordinarily happy experiences or inherited consciousness, the subconscious consciousness that you inherit from your grandparents or great-grandparents or great-great-great-great-grandparents. It's just in the genes, not revealed in your mind, not things that you know about and you understand about life, but things that maybe from traumatic experiences, things that are totally hidden, experiences you don't remember from your infancy. There was a person, Rabbi Yoshua, a famous sage. His mother took him when he was an infant in his carriage to the yeshiva to hear the words of Torah being said. He didn't remember that, but it affected his whole mindset. Just the recesses of the mind, not the open, revealed parts of the mind. And similarly in the heart, heart is the seat of your feelings. You have revealed feelings of love and things that you like and things that appeal to you, things that obviously give you pleasure. But then there are things that are much deeper. I think of yesterday we made a bris in 770. I was not always able to do that. It's complicated. There are a lot of factors involved. It has to be done quickly at a very set time, and all the people have to be available, and the moil has to be available, and I'll not have any other schedule at that time. I only had one son whose bris I could make in 770. And my brother-in-law and his wife, my sister, came. They were at that point living in upper New York, the upper reaches of New York, near the border of Yonkers. And they came in. And I took my brother-in-law downstairs with me. I hoped maybe I could get an aliyah because it was a Monday, and it would be a good thing to have an aliyah to the Torah, Mashiach Sefer Torah, because they were using it. It was right after Simchas Torah, so they still had Mashiach Sefer Torah out. So I took my brother-in-law, who's not such an observant guy. Like if I asked him to put on tefillin, I don't know what he would say. He would say, "Yeah, that's what I really want to." I don't know. I don't think so. But we just went down together, and the aliyahs were not available anyway. But we saw the Rebbe. That's all. That's all. We just stood there. We saw the Rebbe. We listened to the aliyah. Afterwards, I said to him, "No, what did you think about going downstairs to the big shul?" Or maybe his wife has said to him, and he said, "It's the most moving religious experience of my life." I was so surprised. What was the experience? We didn't do anything. We didn't say Shema. He didn't put on tefillin. He just saw the Rebbe. He said it was the most moving religious experience of his life. What made that so moving? Where did he feel the movement? In his heart. What made that so moving? Because there was something deep in his heart that wasn't really in harmony with what was revealed in his heart. What was revealed in his heart was, no, I don't want to put on tefillin. No, thank you. But deep in his heart, something was deeply moved. So that's what it's talking about here. You see, we have to pay very close attention to the words of the Rebbe, because every word is very, very meaningful. So when a person will think about, what do we just say? What are we thinking about? Thinking about the fact that if you will do the mitzvahs of the Torah, and like in chapter 4 at the beginning, look back to chapter 4 at the beginning. If a person will do whatever the mitzvahs are all about, and he will learn everything that's possible for him to learn about the mitzvahs of the Torah, and he will think about what he's learning. Obviously, there's a big difference between what you think and what you say. You can think in a minute what it will take you hours to express. One time, the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, the greatest teacher of the inner Torah, the mystical side of the Torah since Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who lived in the about 500 years ago in Sfas, he fell asleep. And his secretary asked him, Rebbe, what did you dream? He said, yes. He says, and what was your dream? He says, it would take me 80 years to explain to you.
For 70 years.
You understand that to bring a thing from your thought, and thought is a whole world, and speech is a different world on a much lower level. Because you can think in a split second what takes you a long time to express. And if you can say in a few minutes or in a half hour what takes a long time to write. I used to work with an artist, great artist. He was the king of all the artists. All our comic artists looked up to him. He'd illustrated every comic book that's, but action comics, Superman and Batman and this one and that one and Spider-Man. And his claim to fame was a war comic that he did, where he expressed his attitude of anti-war. Until then, the war hero, the person who killed the most people and was most adept in war, was the biggest hero. His attitude was, no, the war is not heroic. The real hero is the reliable person, the person who cares and has self-sacrifice to help others. That was the hero that he created, called Sergeant Rock. Anyway, so he used to work together with me. I worked together with him to create comics with a Jewish theme. But he didn't know anything much about Judaism, just what he picked up around the house. So I would tell him a story. I said, here's a good story. Let's do this story. And he was very challenging. He used to ask me very difficult questions about the story. So to explain his question, I would tell him another story to explain the story. And then he might have another question about that explanation, why he disagreed with it, why it didn't make sense to him. And we would have long conversations for sometimes up to an hour or an hour and a half. And then he would say, okay, David, he would say, okay, just send me some notes about what we spoke about, and I'll make a story out of it. And he would write his own text. He did not want anybody to write his text, and he did not want anybody ever to edit it, to edit his illustrations. So after our conversation, I would sit down to write up what we spoke about. It would take me about 2 days to write up clearly everything that we had spoken about. So you see, there's a whole world of difference between speaking and writing. And there's also a whole world between thinking and speaking, because you can think in a few seconds. The famous line of the student, I know, teacher, I know the answer, but I just can't say it.
Yeah, that's me all the time. Except I just say, even though I don't always know the answer. It gives you a few extra minutes to think about your answer.
Rabbi Mendel Futterfass, the famous Chassid, spent 7 years in Siberia. Yeah, in jail. And the Rebbe got him out, but that's a different story. Maybe some other time we'll tell it. But anyway, he used to say, thought is a whole world. You can do things in your mind. There's action. We're talking about action, speech, and thought. There's action in thought. You can make speeches in thought. I used to go to a copy printer. In those days, in the days before desktop publishing, you had to go to a copy printer to make your posters and things. And this lady had a sign on her desk. It said, "Speak when you're angry. You'll make the best speech you ever lived to regret. You'll be so sorry that you said those words in anger." I'm going to digress a little bit on this because I think I've told you this before. It's a very powerful medrash that I read recently. It says the words that you think to say in anger and you hold yourself in and you don't say them. When you want to really criticize somebody and what they say in Yiddish, give them a chelik, give them a piece of your mind, and you don't say it. Those words have a reality in your mind. And there are beings which are on that level. How does Hashem know your thoughts? He's not the only one who knows your thoughts. Every thought, just like every action you do creates an angel, your thoughts also create angels. That's the whole idea of the evil eye. You give someone, look at someone with a left eye, you can really hurt them. That's why you always have to try and look someone with a right eye. Think good of other people. Think good. Tracht good, sein good. Thinking good makes it good. When you think about a person, think of that person, oh, is so sweet, so nice, so kind, such a pleasure to be with that person. You know, you bring that out in them just by thinking it, because you're going to look at them differently because you thought nicely about them. There you are, Malcolm's doing it. See what thought can do. Whereas if you resent somebody, unless you don't want to talk to them, you just resent them. They feel it. And it'll affect your relationship and affect the relationship with others. So thought is a whole world. And you have the revealed thoughts. So it's, I didn't finish this. That not only Hashem knows your thoughts, angels on a spiritual, which are creations in the world of thought, from the world of Bria, we learned Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, the world of formation, the world of action. So angels from the world of creation take your thoughts, the negative things that you didn't say, you thought and you didn't say them. They take them up to Hashem. They're more precious than mitzvahs than you do. They're like jewels in Hashem's crown. So next time you have a negative thought about somebody, if heaven forbid you do, some people never have negative thoughts. They just look at everybody with such a kindly eye. The Rebbe is like that. He looks at everybody with a kindly eye. He sees what's their potential and he encourages them to do it. And people think, he can't be serious. I can't do that. The Rebbe looks at him and says, yes, you sure you could. And so, you know the story of the little train that could? I think I can, 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 I think I can.
You should do a rap album.
So there's a level of thought where we're not even aware of it. It's so deep, buried in our consciousness, that it's not revealed. That's not where real revealed thoughts reside. It's deep, deep within. So when a person will think about this, that when your actions are Torah actions, and your words are Torah words, and your thoughts are Torah thoughts, then you are bound up in a tremendous bond of life with the source of all life, with Hashem. And when a person will think about this, not just think about the idea, but meditate, wow, this is amazing. In the recesses of his mind and the recesses of his heart and his mouth, what he says, and his heart, his feelings are in sync. They're in harmony. It's not you think one thing, but you really feel something else. Namely, he he leads him to make a resolution in his mind that I want to be on the winning team. And I want to direct my desires towards connection with Hashem by being connected with his Torah. And in my thoughts, I will try to think about the Torah day and night and say the words of Torah as they're written on the page. That's the written Torah, the Chumash, and the oral Torah, which is his explanation, page 236. And in your action, what's the seat of your action is your hands and your other physical organs. And with them, you carry out the mitzvahs as you have decided in your mind that if I'm on this team, this is the formation that I have to follow. You know, this is the play. This is the play. No team plays just because could ever win just because they have talented players. There has to be a game plan. There has to be a quarterback. There has to be a coach. What's a team when the players don't listen to the coach? They're not going to succeed. So we have to listen to the coach and to the game plan, which is in the Torah. Right? Does that make sense? We on the makes so much sense. Hooray! So then, Tuvuna Zu, this understanding is not called Bina, it's called Tuvuna, a special understanding, which he defines it here in the English. His resolution, which comes from the intellect, the emotions in the intellect. It's not an emotion. What are we dealing with here? We're dealing with the person who gets excited learning Torah, but when they go to daven, they feel nothing. So the Alter Rebbe is justifying this person and saying, it's not that he feels nothing. He does feel, but all his feelings are like unborn children in the embryonic children in the womb of their mother, not yet born. They're there, they're alive. The sonograph will tell us about them. We don't do sonographs, by the way, girls.
What?
Don't do it.
Why?
Why? Because Rebbe said don't do it.
Because what?
There's no point in it, but it could cause damage to the embryo, to the child.
Really?
Just listen to me. Take my word for it. I wouldn't tell you something that wasn't true.
I believe you.
You don't do it unless there's a danger. Just because the doctor's curious, you don't do it to satisfy his curiosity or the curiosity of the parents. Do I have a boy? Do I have a girl? We don't play around with life.
If we're supposed to like heed the words of the Rebbe, like the Rebbe's advice on things, especially with health, why do so many firm people wear contacts? Whenever the Rebbe
I don't
said,
know.
Don't wear contacts.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on this.
Wait, why is the Rebbe against contacts? I
Don't-
want
Said that
contacts.
they're dangerous.
I mean,
Who-
everything's dangerous.
Well, are they? I don't know. I can't comment on. Ask somebody who's medically informed.
What about
Oh, I'll ask
ultrasound?
TikTok.
Because they say ultrasound is perfectly
What?
safe. What about ultrasound? Like you could make the same argument that ultrasound is perfectly safe, like medical.
They can argue all
professionals
they want. The Rebbe
say-
says not. The Rebbe happens to disagree.
The Rebbe also.
Let's remember also that story I told you last week. All the biggest doctors said surgery. The Rebbe said, take a magnet. Brilliant. I told that to a doctor friend of mine. I just presented with it. He looked, he said, oh, that's serious. That's very serious. Very serious situation. Then I told him about the magnet. He said, unbelievable. Brilliant, he said, brilliant. The Rebbe is very wise. And is his wisdom because he's wise or because he's heard a lot or because he's an engineer or because Hashem shines into his mind and enables him to see and understand things other people don't see and understand. That's what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe says, don't mess around with life. Hashem. There are three partners in creation of a child, a father and the mother and Hashem. Don't mess around. Don't try and micromanage Hashem. Does that apply to eyeglasses? Could be. I don't know. I don't wear them. I'm not interested. I go to the optician, they give me a prescription, it doesn't help a bit.
Same.
Doesn't
on the
help a
same
bit.
page.
Mamish doesn't help.
I agree.
I use I sit there with a magnifying glass. I used to have 20/20 vision until the computer came. My first desktop computer, a guy he installed this Radio Shack computer with 2 floppy disks, had no hard drive even. And I started using it. I'd been using an electric typewriter since my bar mitzvah for 20 years. I retyped my doctoral thesis at least 3 or 4 times. Every time you'd make a mistake and you had to fix one line, then all the words didn't fit on the page anymore. I had to type the next page. I was always trying to make the line shorter so that I could, it never worked. I had to retype the whole thing just from correcting one word or one phrase or adding an extra line. I had to retype the whole thing all over again. So I've been using this electric typer for years. Didn't even have an automatic return, had a manual return. Bing. He put this Radio Shack thing with 2 floppy disks, and I started to use it. And he said, "David Shalom, you're never going to use your electric typewriter again." I said, "Oh no, I love my electric typewriter. I wouldn't desert it," but he was right.
Oh.
And since then, I'm using a laptop, using a computer. But I lost my vision. I had perfect vision before that, 20/20. Now I went to renew my driver's license. They said, can you read that? So I read a couple of lines. She said, now read the bottom line. I said, which bottom line? She said, go get a pair of glasses and come back.
You have a PhD
Yes.
in what?
In eyeglasses. Okay. Hooray.
But I also have another question about the Rebbe though, if you don't mind. So just like a little bit off what Sam said, like it makes sense to listen to the Rebbe, like what he says, but like why do people take some things he said seriously, some people not?
Like the 4
Like,
lines.
What?
Yeah, like people take some things that the Rebbe said seriously and some things not. So like, but like as a community, not an individual. Like if an individual gets contacts or says more than 4 l'chaim, okay, that's one thing. But like a lot of people do those sorts of things. So like,
I'm not a spokesman for a lot of people. That's a very big generality, a lot of people.
it's like community picking and choosing. Like,
Picking and choosing is not a good attitude. We can't pick and choose. We said that we're coming up to Matan Torah. Matan Torah, we said Nasa and Nishma, we're going to do everything. We're going to learn about it. People have their limitations. Okay, there are a lot of mitzvahs that I can't do. I don't have time. I hardly sleep. I don't sleep very much. You may have noticed. I don't have time for a lot of things that we're supposed to do, that the Rebbe wants us to do. I can't learn 3 prokim Tanya, Rambam. I can't. It takes me the amount of time to learn 1 parak Rambam. It takes other people the same, can do 3 prokim in the same time. So I can't do it. So I can't do everything the Rebbe wants. There are other things that I know I can't do. It's not that I don't want to do. I would love to do. But then there's a different pick and choose. I don't want to do this. I don't like to do this. I'm not ready for it. Okay, you're not ready for this. Rabbi Shmuelu told me one time he had a guest on Shabbos who lit a cigarette at a Shabbos table. And Rabbi Lou said to him, forgive me, I'm not on that level yet. That I can tolerate smoking on my Shabbos table. I'm not on that level yet. So there are a lot of things we're not on that level yet. So we don't do them because we're not on that level yet. I told you a story. I told you this story about the guy who used to come to every Shabbos for bringing. Whenever there's a Farbrengen on Shabbos, he would come. He would drive over. And the Rebbe never said anything. And people criticized the Rebbe and said, why do you not say something to him? He would listen to you. In the meantime, he's coming. The whole time, and like Rabbi Lou also once said to me the same thing about people who drive to a Chabad house on Shabbos. At least when they're here, they're keeping Shabbos. Let's keep them here as long as we can. If a person smokes 10 cigarettes a day, and on Shabbos he smokes 8, so he's keeping Shabbos for 2 cigarettes. That's more than smoking 10. The Rebbe said to a person once about his business, he said, I can't close my business. I can't on Shabbat, on Saturday. The Rebbe said, so don't go near the cash register. That will be how your level of keeping Shabbos. There's a way of looking at things. That's terrible. This is running. Or there's a good way of looking at it. Don't look at the glass as half full. Look at the glass. Don't look at the glass as half empty. Look at the glass as half full. So Rebbe is justifying this person by finding a way to describe so that he can see his life in terms of mitzvahs. Concerning medical things, the Rebbe said, consult. So you can't ask the Rebbe's office now. So the Rebbe said, consult with people who care about you, who are expert in the field. And then you listen to the majority. And the Rebbe Chodakov told me at one point that means that the Rebbe empowers your interaction with others, that they should clarify for you the Rebbe's intention. I remember once in terms of a shidduch, there's not a class in Tanya anymore. It became a Farbrengen. But that's what drives Rabbi Majeski crazy, because he wants us to finish the Tanya.
We're not gonna finish the whole Tanya.
But no, just up to chapter 21, 22. That's what he wants. That's the goal of this class. We've got another week. 6 chapters.
All right, so chapter a day.
So my daughter was in Shidduchim, and a dear friend of mine who was a Shadchan, Oliver Shalom Yena Avtzon, who did all the sikhs in English, he suggested a shidduch. It looked very nice. Looked very nice. And they were interested. So we said, okay, let's look in the letters of the Rebbe. We opened the letter. I sat down, I put on a gartel, I washed my hands, I wrote a letter to the Rebbe, I put it in the Igris, I opened the Igris, and the letter at the top of the page on the right-hand side said, this is something you should not do. I said, gosh, what am I going to do? Well, Rabbi Majeski is the one I consult with, but he's very hard to get in touch with if you haven't noticed. And I had to go to Chasana that night, and there he was. Ah, Hashem helps. I said to him, Rabbi, do I cancel a shidduch because it says on the letter, this is something I shouldn't do? This is like, roulette. He said, his answer was as follows. I know people who didn't get the answer that they wanted to get from the Rebbe. And they got a negative answer instead of a positive one. So they asked again. Maybe the Rebbe didn't understand, or maybe there are other factors that the Rebbe didn't think of that we know. And they asked again, and maybe they got the same answer. And then they asked maybe a third time, and he said like this, they squeezed an answer, positive answer out of the Rebbe that enabled them to go ahead with their plans. And he said, invariably, it didn't work out. Invariably, there are all kinds of problems. If I got that kind of an answer, he says, I would not go ahead with it. So I told the Shadchan, who was my dear friend, we can't go ahead with this shit. It looks very nice. We can't go ahead. We got a negative answer in the Igris. And he told this other family, who were a very fine family, and they hit the roof. He said, what? You're not doing a shidduch because of a letter? I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But this is the answer we got. This is the answer. You can't pick and choose that you're going to only do things when you get an answer from the Rebbe that says good, and if the answer isn't good, you're not going to pay attention to it. It doesn't work that way. So my daughter married somebody else. Baruch Hashem, she's very, very successful. 6 children, B'li Hora, a very successful shlucha in France. She didn't want to go to France, but she became You ask anybody who's from France, they know, oh. It's very, 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 very successful. And the other family also, they made a different shidduch, and the girl, the young man became a very successful shliach. So you can't pick and choose. But that's what Rabbi Pape said. He said, you ask your friends who care about you, and they're expert in their field, and you listen to them. And you go by the majority. So about eyeglasses, I didn't ask. Other people ask. Okay, so he has, now we're talking about the recesses of his mind. And the revealed parts of his mind is what he thinks in a revealed way, says, does, and he decides in his mind that this is that to be in harmony with his deepest level of thoughts, according to the Torah, page 236, right? So this is called tavuna. Now the word tavuna is not, it's like the word Havana, it's from the word bina, which means understanding. But this is called tavuna, understanding, which the Rebbe is using this word to describe feelings that are still in your mind. And because of this tavuna understanding, you decide, yes, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do, even if I don't feel love of Hashem when I do it. That's the problem. You don't feel. The Rebbe is writing now like a guide for the perplexed, people who don't feel inspired by Torah and mitzvahs. They know it's the right thing to do, but they don't. Right? So what is it? So it says this tavuna understanding provides them with intellectual power in the mind, and highest vitality. Highest is lebedik. I used to daven in a minyan with little boys, and the shaliach, this was before I was married, and I was just learning my way into Yiddishkeit, and I used to daven with this minyan, and the older shliach who started the whole Chabad institution there in London, he used to walk around amongst the boys and say, lebedik, daven with feeling, put your with excitement. So that's what it means, vitality, highest. And this intellectual, this feeling in your mind gives you vitality, it gives you power, and it gives you a new term here. We didn't have this before. Wings, it gives you wings. Wings to fly. In following chapter 40 talks about it, that the wings of a mitzvah are like the wings of a bird. A bird can be kosher if it loses its wings, because the body of the bird is kosher, but without wings it can't fly. So similarly, there are mitzvahs that don't have wings. A mitzvah doesn't have wings, that means it doesn't. What are the wings? The wings are love of Hashem and fear of Hashem. They make the mitzvah soar. So this tavuna understanding, this intellectual emotion in the mind, gives your mitzvahs and your learning power and energy. That's vitality, highest. It should be lebedik, it should be living, and wings, love and fear to fly. Page 236. Ke'ilu asak behem b'dechilu v'rechim u'mamish. And it's as if he was doing the mitzvah, since this is what's driving him, this is his motivation, this is the horsepower in his activities. This is what's driving him to do mitzvahs and to learn Torah. So it's as if he's doing them with all the emotions that he would like to do them with, because that's the problem, right? That's the problem. He doesn't feel when he does this understanding by meditating on these topics. of the greatness of Hashem, by meditating on the greatness of Hashem and meditating on the wisdom of Hashem and the wisdom of the Torah and the beauty of the Torah, when you see how things fit together and you understand the logic of the way things work, or even things that you don't understand. You understand the mechanism. You don't understand the reason for purity and impurity. And you can't understand it because it's just a gezerah. It's just Hashem said, that's the way it is. But then we have all set of laws. You can understand the mechanism of how the halacha works. And because you understand it, and because you know that that's where you want to be, that's the team you want, the winning team, and you want to be on the winning team. And therefore, in your mind, you agree, and this motivates you to do it. This gives you a power and an energy and a lebendigkeit and love and fear in your mind that enables everything you do to soar, to fly. It's as if you had actual love and fear in your heart. There you go. This is the teaching of the Alter Rebbe. Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
He gives us life. Girls, I'm not going to send you to other places. And I don't advise you. I never did it. And I don't think it's a healthy approach to Judaism, to your spiritual life, to jump around and compare and go to this one's for bringing and that one's for the Tish and the other one's dos and what each, Rebbe hopping. Don't do it. Stick with one way. And the Rebbe makes it possible. Because people who don't have this, if you went, you might see, because I don't know, because I didn't go, but I heard. And I've met people who did not subscribe to this approach to Yiddishkeit, and they'd been indoctrinated in their yeshiva to keep an arm's length away. Like I had students who learned and got interested in Yiddishkeit through Chabad. And then they decide they want to go more and they want to go to Israel and go to yeshiva in Israel. And I said, make sure you go to a yeshiva where they're going to teach you Tanya. Okay, yeah. They told me for sure they learn Tanya. And then they get to this yeshiva in Israel and I said, how's it going? Do they teach you Tanya? No, I said, they really don't do it. They just don't do it. They keep an arm's distance away from, they're nervous. I don't know. I can't explain it. But you see that they do things coldly. They do things coldly. They don't have this inner vitality in it. And that's what makes Chabad, that's the secret of Chabad, is the energy and the warmth. That the Torah is something warm and living and inspiring. I remember once the Rebbe described a non-Hasidic attitude. As it says in the Shulchan Aruch, you're supposed to be Ma'arich. You should spend time thinking about the Shema when he says Shema in prayer. So there was a certain person the Rebbe described once, a person who obviously had said this to him, that he felt he was achieving things in his davening because when he said Shema, he contemplated the word Echad for 64 seconds. Can you imagine? You look at his stopwatch, look at his watch, said Shema, and then check to see how long he had done it. That's not what it means to spend time meditating on the Shema. Maybe it's a joke, but there's a reality to every joke. There was a chassid who was supposed to go somewhere on a trip with a friend, and he sent his son to see what's he doing. He's not here. He's davening. Also, where is he holding? So he went back and he's holding by Oz Yashir, like before Baruch Hu, he's holding by Oz Yashir. So I said, no, is he holding by Oz or is he holding by Yashir? Okay, Sarah Abigail, today's Wednesday, Liba, Malka Lavana, I think she was here. Yeah, that's a joke. Hannah,
Thank you.
Hannah, yeah, Hannah, that's the other Hannah. Rachel didn't make it today. Sharonel is here. Chedva is here. Ilana from Brazil is here. Chaya Menashe came in late after Mark late. Anybody whose name I didn't call? Tova, was Tova here? Sarah Mara here.
Tova's here.
Tova's here? Tova, that's a good name. The mistress of the good name. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Lee, but was that a good class?
Yeah. I like it. Well, what do you have a PhD in?
I told you, glasses.
I don't know. from the way you're
Vision.
laughing. What?
Vision. Yeah.
But right now, I'm not feeling
Vision? Okay.
Oh. Krista said it was like sweet. What's she like?
Okay, I took it back.
English literature. I wrote a book about an English poet.
Okay, I'm telling you. Did you also write like Jewish ones? Or is it book about
Yeah, I've been
Torah?
doing that for the last 30, almost 40 years.
That's what I would assume, but I don't know.
I write that. Are you a writer?
I'm okay at writing, but I'm not a writer. I studied psychology.
Oh, well, see, this is all about very psychologically oriented. Must appeal to you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the first reason why I got into the Yiddish.
Okay.